To make changes to some of the preferences in Photoshop, that's just basically the settings of Photoshop. Click on Edit, Preferences, then General. You can see this brings up a menu of a bunch of specific preferences we change. If we click on General, it'll bring up that same menu on this side, so it doesn't really matter how you get there. Let's go through these. It's not important to know everything about this, but let's go through right now and make some small changes so that you can make sure your Photoshop is like my Photoshop, so as we're working, you don't have any weird settings making it difficult to use. So the first thing we need to do is go to Interface right here. This isn't anything we're going to change because by default, the appearance is on this medium darkness. If you wanted to go like work in Photoshop, have it look like this, or have it be super dark, you could change that here. I like it just on the default, so that's what we're going to do. If I wanted to, again, this isn't anything we're going to change, but if I wanted to restore all the workspaces, if I had made a bunch of changes and I was just like, nah, I just want it to be how it came when I got Photoshop, when I first opened it, click Restore Default Workspaces, and it'll just set everything back to how it was. And the next thing we're going to do is go to File Handling. And this by default is not selected. Under File Saving Options, I love to have this on. It'll automatically save my document every 5 minutes, or I could change how often. If you have it more, it'll kind of slow down your computer a lot. So if you want to change it to 10 minutes so it doesn't kind of interfere with what you're doing, that's fine. I have a fast computer and I need to save every 5 minutes because if I don't, I will inevitably at some point lose my work, and it is the worst feeling in the world when you've worked on something that you like. It's a piece of art, you're like in the zone, and then you're an idiot and you forget to save it, or your computer crashes or something like that. Photoshop is really intense, so it takes a lot of power for computers to run the program, which means it does crash more than if you were just like on like a browser or something. It'll crash a lot if your computer can't handle it. So that's fine, just make sure you are always saving your work. The next thing we want to look at is under this performance, we can change how much of the memory our computer is dedicating to Photoshop. Basically, what this means, if you don't know a ton about computers, is it allows Photoshop to use more of your computer's power. So you can adjust this right here if it's low and Photoshop isn't running well, and then you open up this and see, oh, I've only let it use, I don't know, 10 megabytes of RAM. Then change that and you'll see that Photoshop now runs a lot smoother. Again, that's nothing we need to change, it's just something you should know if you're having problems. The next thing we need to do is go to Scratch Disks. Scratch Disks are where Photoshop saves your work as you're working on it. If you use an external hard drive like I do, so I have like a big 8 terabyte external hard drive, I want it to save all those extra things to that so that it doesn't take up space on my smaller hard drive. So I have that selected, and then I don't have to worry about it. Those are the preferences I would like to make you aware of now. So now if you've been following along, your workspace should look something like mine. So as we're working, I'm not going to change it around too much, so it should be pretty straightforward. These are the things you need to know to be a photographer and to do composite photography in Photoshop. So we're not going to work on a bunch of the tools that don't apply to what we're doing, but the ones that do, you're going to get to know them very well, and you're going to start to learn how to do basically whatever you can imagine in this program. It's going to be awesome. So I'll see you in the next video.